This is Stephen Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com. This week there were some big breaking stories about the Republican Party. They focused in particular on the Republican National Committee and on the chair of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele. I have a New York Times article here which had, this is actually today's paper, some very interesting information. I also talked to one of my former students this morning who is a significant Republican leader. They are in New Orleans for a major strategy meeting. The Michael Steele has been very controversial, as you probably know, as the chair of the RNC. He's an African American, which is quite unusual, and one of the interesting questions was why an African American as head of the Republican National Committee? That was never answered properly, although I've heard from some people that they said we need to reach out more to minorities, and Michael Steele is a loyal, longtime Republican, and he seemed to fit the ticket. Unfortunately, Michael Steele is really pretty much a loose cannon in the Republican Party's strategy rolling forward to try and gain control of Congress or make major gains in 2010. And some of the stories have been specifically on Michael Steele himself. There have been, for example, he's getting attention on questionable expenditures by committee members, lagging fundraising, staff defections and dismissals, an aggressive round of paid speeches that he made around the country where he went off script and said some things that didn't sound like a neutral Republican. He endorsed, or at least said that he was a big supporter of the Tea Party. And the latest was, of course, Hollywood Lesbian Strip and Bondage Club, where the Republican National Committee ponied up something like $2,000 for some donors and some staff members who went to this club after a meeting. And, of course, strip clubs and bondage is not exactly the Republican Party's major theme. The Democratic Party used to be known as the more liberal party that might be condoning this, but the Republicans are pretty straight-laced. So this has been very bad. And one of the critics of the Republican National Committee and of Mr. Steele actually said, not all publicity is good publicity. Well, that's certainly true in this particular case. So in addition to the question of how the Republican Party is going to regain its brand and do well in 2010, they have this internal problem, which is something that needs to be cleaned up. And we'll keep you posted on what happens. My prediction is that Michael Steele will be retiring from this position pretty soon. This week, one of the Republican National Committee members from New Hampshire actually quit and said that he couldn't be a member of the RNC anymore because he said it had gone completely off the rails. So I think that's a sign that the GOP is going to have to have a redo of its national committee. This is Stephen Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com.